guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. Thank God it's Friday, that's all I can say. So how are you? I'm fantastic, always glad when it's the weekend. What have I been doing this week? From a gaming perspective, have I been doing anything at all? I don't think. No, I'll tell you what I have been doing is recording a couple of videos. I've been very conscious over the last, I don't know, over the last probably 3-4 months that I've not been putting out as many videos. I've been putting out plenty of live streams, which is fine, but as I keep saying, I don't want to just become a channel that just does live streams, because that's not what I'm about. I mean, I do enjoy the live streams. I like the fact that you've got the interactivity when you do live streams, but I still do want to keep doing, you know, the old-fashioned videos, me playing games. And I mean, I don't do review videos as such, but yes, I've done a couple of videos. That's been it. Yeah, that's really been it. I mean, my work's mega busy, so by the time I get home at night, take the dogs out for a pee, have my dinner, you're knackered. You're absolutely knackered. And I think, to be fair, I think most people are kind of feeling that at the moment. You know, we're busy doing nothing. You know, and I just find that makes the time go in so quickly. And I mean that, you know, the weather doesn't help. I mean, up here in Scotland at the moment, it's probably the kind of worst weather you can get. I mean, it's dark. I know dark is not weather, but it's dark. It's dark in the mornings. It's dark at night. I mean, you can see it gradually getting lighter now, but it's still pitch dark by what, 5:15, but that will change. It's cold, it's wet, it's windy, you've got sleet and snow. It's just, you know, I mean, you'd think, you know, having lived in Scotland all your life like I have, you think you'd be used to the weather, but you know what, you never do get used to the weather. Well, you do get used to it, but it doesn't stop us complaining about it. So that's kind of been that. Like I said, I've not done a great deal. Yeah, I've been on Discord. There's a couple of the guys on my Discord channel have been buying a thing called a Mister. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's a little device that allows you to now. I'm going to apologise right now because I could be talking complete and utter bollocks. It allows you to run what's called cores. Now, for the uninitiated or thick people like myself, it basically means that you can have this thing programmed so that it's effectively, it's not emulating, it is effectively a proper bit of hardware. So for example, if you loaded a Commodore 64 core, it becomes a Commodore 64. The same with any other computer, and you know, the same with MAME. Now you're probably thinking, well, why would I want to get one of these? I've got a Raspberry Pi, I can play MAME, I can play the C64 stuff on my PC, and you'd be absolutely right, and that's what I kind of think as well. But from what I gather, because it's not really emulating something, it is actually the proper, hang on, I'm just going to turn that screen off because that's kind of annoying me. It is actually running the proper, no hardware, operating system, is that what you want to call it? Then it means that you're getting 100% accuracy. Yeah, the thing about emulating is, and again, I'm just going by what a few people are saying, the thing about emulating is there is a tiny bit of lag and controls. Now you're thinking, well, what does that mean? What that really means is when you move the joystick, say you're playing 1942 or Commando or something, if you're about to be hit with a bullet or an enemy plane or a soldier or whatever, and you move the joystick, there's a fraction of a delay. Now, depending on the emulator you're running, depending on what hardware you're running, that can vary. I mean, I've played some games in the past, and there is a bit of lag, and when that happens, it just makes a game a lot more difficult, especially if you're playing, what do you call it, I'm going to turn this screen off as well, actually. Yeah, especially if you're playing like an arcade game. Arcade games are very, very twitchy. You need to be able to react very, very quickly, and so if there's a slight delay, that could be the difference between you surviving or getting hit and losing a life. Now you're probably thinking, well, you know, what's the big deal with that? And you know, I think if you're used to playing emulators with a bit of lag, then you're not really going to know any differently. But if you are, or sorry, not if you're, if you are, if you've been used to playing real arcade games and then you go across to like play an emulator, I know like guys like Charlie Farr, he's an amazing games player. Because he can play, you know, he's got the world record in Galaxian. There is slight timing issues with emulators, and that can make all the difference. I suppose to your sort of your guy like me who's not particularly good at any game and you just play for fun, then it's not really a biggie. But like I said, even myself, I've played some emulators in the past, sometimes on the Raspberry Pi actually, and you find that there is a bit of lag, and it can make a game more difficult, and it can be very, very frustrating because if you see you're going to die or get hit and you move the mouse, or not the mouse, you move the joystick, and there's just a slight split delay, like I said, that can be all the difference between losing a life and not losing a life. So why should you get a Mister? Well, for that reason, if you want the most authentic experience of playing a game or an emulator or whatever, then that's what you want to get. That's what you want to get. I mean, one of my mates, Neil, he's had a Mister. I think he had the original Mister, and then he got a new one. He got the more updated one. I don't know, about, I was going to say 10 months ago. It would be more, not more than that. It would be over a year ago, because the last time I saw it was at the computer club, and we've not been at the computer club for over a year. Well, it'll be a year in March actually. Anyway, getting back to kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah, Neil bought one of these Mister things, and I was kind of intrigued as to what it was, but I never really paid any I didn't pay much attention. I mean, Neil would load up a game, and I would load it up on the Raspberry Pi, and I just used to think to myself, well, wait a minute, this thing that I've got, I can load up these games way quicker than Neil can, but again, you're not getting the accuracy. Now, I think the Mister has been around for quite a while now, and there's more and more cores, or in other words, there's more and more systems you can now play. Like I said, you've got MAME, you've got all the kind of popular computers, and what somebody said to me was, and it kind of got me thinking, like they said that, you know, having a Mister running MAME, when I knew like game comes out that it's supported, whatever it is, it's like the old days of emulation. I remember back in the day, 1997, 1998, when a new version of MAME came out, it supported more games, and that was so exciting, especially when you got a wee heads up that the next version of MAME is going to support Rolling Thunder or Commando or whatever. It was so exciting, and what one of the guys said was, having a Mister, you're kind of going back to that again. So I do understand the appeal of it. Will I get one? Possibly. I mean, one of the lads, Ponder, who watches my channel, he's been in a few videos of mine. He has literally just bought one, so I'm going to watch with interest just to see what this thing's all about. Because I'm one of these people. I will very, very rarely buy something just because I see it on the internet, whatever. But if a mate shows me something and they go on about how good it is, then that's the biggest thing that will encourage me to go and buy something. So I'm interested to see how this Mister thing runs. I mean, the plus you've got over, you know, even like original hardware is, this thing is, it's built for the future. It can it'll output it, you know, HDMI, and you're getting authentic experience. Whereas, you know, an original Commodore 64, chances are it's going to be more faulty because the chips are older, and you can't, well, not that I'm aware of, you can't connect an original C64 to, you know, to an HDMI. So it's kind of future proofing. I mean, I've gone on about this quite a few times in the past. Why would you want to buy one of these little mini systems? You know, a mini, the mini C64, the mini PC Engine, whatever, because lots of people slam them and say they're not accurate and it's just emulation. But the thing is, it allows you to, excuse me, I've had a couple of packets of, oh, I love hearts. Got them for my Christmas in a big massive tub. And the problem is, when I'm talking, I tend not to breathe because nobody's talking back to me. I just talk, and then you end up getting built up here in your chest. Anyway, what was I talking about? I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, people going about, oh, it's just emulation. But the thing about these little mini systems is they give you a really easy way to play these old systems, i.e. you plug it into your brand new television. You can't do that with you know, a classic, an original C64. And so, you know, having a Mister, it's giving you that opportunity. It's giving you that opportunity, a single box. And I think from the way it works is, I think a single SD card, you basically put a different core onto a different SD card. So you could, in theory, have 10 SD cards, and whatever one you put in, it becomes that. So in theory, this is the theory, you could have a Mister sitting beneath your TV, and you just decide, right, I fancy playing the Commodore 64. You plug your little SD card in, and you've got an authentic Commodore 64. You will not be able to tell the difference between that and a real one. So I do see the appeal of it. To your sort of your casual retro gamer, is it worth it? Probably no, because chances are, you know, you're not going to really notice any difference. You know, if you want to get the downside to a Mister is the price. I mean, I think you can buy, there's different bits you can buy to. Now, I'm not, as I said, I really don't know much about it, which is no surprise. But yeah, I think it's about 250 quid for like the sort of top of the range with all the gubbins. So you've got that at one end of the scale. The other side of the scale is you've got a Raspberry Pi running RetroPie, and you can have access to all these games, and it will cost you maybe 60-70 quid. But again, it all comes down to accuracy. You know, if you're really like anal about your games and emulation, and it's got to be accurate, then I would probably say the Mister is the way to go. Now, hang on a little second, I'm just going to bring up, where did I put my my YouTube channel so I can see the questions. So yeah, that's why should you get a Mister. If you want accurate, oh, there we go. If you want accurate gameplay with no lag, then go down the Mister route. But like I says, I probably will end up getting one at some point, but I'm interested to see what kind of Colin thinks of it. So anyway, listen, I just very quickly, I just want to basically give my condolences to Sir Tom Moore. If you don't know who he is, he was an arcade. What am I talking about? I'm busy looking at comments. He was a World War II veteran. You know, so he's already he put himself in the line, you know, for his country. But then it would be about less than a year ago. I mean, Tom Moore is, well, he was 100 years old. He passed away he passed away at the beginning of this week, I think it was. And to raise money for the NHS, he decided to walk the length of his garden. And I can't remember exactly how far he walked, but this guy was, I think he was either 99 years old or he was 100 when he did this, and he's walking with sticks. And he was wanting to raise, I don't know, it was like £1,000 or something. And once obviously people started sharing on Facebook what he was doing, and it just got the attention of the UK, possibly beyond that. And I believe he went on to raise something like 40 million pounds that was going towards, I don't know what it was going towards. It wasn't going to the NHS, but basically for good causes. And it's just incredible that somebody at that age could do something like that. He would never have in a million years thought that, you know, that what kind of reaction people were going to have to him. And it just makes me sad when you see somebody like Sir Tom Moore doing something like that. He's like 99, 100 years old, and he's doing something. He's taking himself out of his comfort zone, and he's doing something for the good of society. And there are so many other people. There are so many negative people, especially now. And don't get me wrong, I understand why there's a lot of negativity going around at the moment with the whole, you know, restrictions. But there are so many extremely capable people who, instead of moaning, could get off their arse. And I'm not saying they go and raise money. They could raise money if they want. They can get off their arse and just put themselves to good use, do something worthwhile instead of complaining. You know, it's you've got to feel ashamed of yourself when there are people doing nothing. All they do is complain, and then there's a guy like him going out and doing something. You know, I just think it's amazing what he done. You know, so I know Sir Tom Moore's family are definitely not going to watch this channel, but I just want to pay my respects to him. You know. An amazing man, you know. So anyway, yeah, right, listen, time is marching on, so I'm just going to batter in to the questions. I don't think there's too many this week. Oh, listen, just I want a quick thank you. If you watch my, if you tune into the Sunday stream, you may have seen the Mememeister, China Miner Mememeister special. One of the girls who watches my channel, Holly, very cleverly adapted China Miner and stuck a little sprite of myself in it. Fantastic. I was playing it on Sunday, and I think there was a few kind of wee niggles, a few wee kind of bugs that cropped in. I think what Holly was saying is I think she picked the NTSC one rather than the PAL one, so when I was playing it, it was playing that bit quicker, which makes it obviously a lot more difficult. So I've sent Holly across the image of the one that I always use, and she's going to try and adapt that. So thanks to Holly and thanks to everyone else that's kind of helped Holly out with this. It's a bit of fun, but you know what, it's brilliant. Absolutely made up to have my own video game. Can't complain at that. So anyway, listen, yeah, questions. Milthy Swinbuckle, question for Nick's Waffle. What are your own personal favourite videos that you make for your channel, and which standalone videos are you most proud of? Well, I'll just finish reading it. My own personal favourites are the ones you do with Lycosa, in which you do a top 10 of the best unknown game vids. The Sid tunes you do with Panther and Lycosa, and obviously the Friday Waffles. Particularly the Friday Waffles where you have someone else participating in it. Delboy, Panther, Ponder, etc. Not that there's anything wrong with your solo waffles, but it's always interesting to have a different viewpoint or someone you can bounce ideas off and delve further into a question than perhaps you would have done singularly. Yeah, absolutely, Milty. I mean, I do enjoy having people on my channel. You know, it gives me somebody to talk to. Whereas at the moment, I'm just looking at a camera, I'm looking at a webcam on top of my monitor and just talking. So it's always really nice to have other people in. But what are my favourite videos? I never make any hidden secret. I do enjoy live streams. I do enjoy, you know, collaboration videos. But from a solo point of view, I think there's a couple of sort of features that I'm quite proud of. The Theblimey It's Only is where I interview, I suppose you could call them famous people who have had some sort of involvement with the gaming industry. Now, over the years, I've interviewed numerous people, Jim Bagley, Kevin Toms of Addictive Games and Football Manager fame. I've had Gary Bracey of Ocean. I've had Gary Liddon of Zap. I've had, would you call it, Sean Southern and Andrew Morris of Magnetic Fields, who did the Lotus Turbo games. I've had various other people, you know, and it's John Studley, what do you call it, Tony Temple, various people. I didn't really want to start naming it because I'm guaranteed I'm going to forget. Dave Perry of Games Master with Dominic Diamond. But I think I am proud. I am really, really proud of doing these videos because, I mean, I think I was the first person to actually interview Sean Southern. Now, Sean Southern, I would call Sean a friend. He's on my Facebook. We do talk, you know, we comment on each other's Facebooks about stuff. Him and Andrew wrote the Lotus Turbo series on the Amiga, and amongst other games, Kickstart and that kind of stuff. And I was the first person to interview him, so I was really proud of that. After I interviewed him, I mean, the guys from the Retro Hour, who do a really good podcast, they got in touch with me to say, look, do you mind putting a good word in for us? So I actually said to Sean, look, the guys from Retro Hour want to do an interview with you. So I was proud of that. I was also proud of doing Dominic Diamond because Dominic really doesn't do interviews anymore. He lives in Canada now, and I mean, I contacted him maybe 3-4 years ago, and again, I was the first person to interview him. Since I've done an interview with him, he has done a few, but you know what? I still think my one's the best. I've listened to a few of them, and as good as they are, I prefer my one. Don't mind saying it. I just think the banter that we've got, I was taking the piss out of him a wee bit, and you know, I thought it was really good. So I'm proud of these videos getting people, you know, on to talk to. What else? There was one video that I did do, and I'm quite proud of it. I just like it because it was completely original, and that is the tape, the C64 tape loader, the history or the evolution of the C64 tape loader. What I will try and do is put a link to it down below, or I'll get a little thing that pops up at the top corner. You can click on it, and basically I just looked at all the different tape loaders and talked about them. I've never seen anything else like that. I suppose I'm also quite proud of the SID shows. Years ago, I featured a video, and I was just talking and letting you listen to SID tunes that were my favourite. But what I did was I had a completely black screen because I didn't want any images to kind of dilute the listening to the SID tunes. So I had done a couple of these, and then I got talking to Lacozer, and we said, oh, we can maybe do another one. And then Panther, he joined us for the first one, and I think it's safe to say they have become really popular. We've done 6, I think it is 6 or 7 now, can't remember exactly, and they are mega popular. We will continue to do them. For how long, I don't know. I mean, there are 50, 55, 60,000 SID tunes, so technically we could go on and make it, but as I've said before, when you get to a point with something where it stops being fun or whatever, then you stop doing it. So I don't know how long we'll keep doing the SID shows, but I will continue to do them as long as I enjoy it. And I suppose other videos that I do enjoy, just because A, the amount of effort that goes into them, and secondly, I actually think they're quite interesting to watch, and it's called That Was the Year That Was. And I take a particular system, whether it's arcade, whether it's a Spectrum, C64, and I just look at all the games that I can remember for that particular year. I talk about what was in the news at the time. I talk about what the big films were, what the sort of the music was at that time. So it's quite interesting. I mean, I have actually watched these videos back again because they're a snapshot of time. And as I've said before, it's something that when I'm long gone up to the big arcade in the sky, some of my videos will still be completely relevant, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of, even me talking just now, I'm archiving stuff for future generations. I'm sure some people don't see it like that, but yeah, these are ones that I'm definitely proud of, Milfy. So thank you very much for the question. Colin Jones, as you know, I'm one of those affected by the scalpers. Yeah, I was talking about the scalpers of the PlayStation 5. The intended purchases aren't even for me, yeah, blah 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 blah. Thankfully, there isn't a shortage of stock of things for my chosen hobby. On that subject, do you see the second-hand value of original classic hardware increasing into the future, or do you think it's a bubble that will eventually burst? I think, Colin, it's like anything. It's like anything, any hobby at all. There's like peaks and troughs. At the moment, arcade machines, or not arcade machines, well, arcade machines, yeah, but original hardware, it seems to be really, really expensive. I mean, in the early days, maybe 10 years ago, nobody really wanted a Commodore 64 or a Spectrum. And so you could buy them for not a lot of money. You know, you could buy a C64 for 20 quid, whatever. And then over the sort of prevailing years, up to maybe 3-4 years ago, they've become quite expensive. And stuff like the Vectrex and, you know, sort of rare systems, they have become really expensive. And I mean, the longer that the more time that passes, I think they're only going to increase in value, because at the end of the day, they're not getting made anymore. Systems are going to break. There's going to be even fewer available. So I think we will. I mean, it's like I said, it's like any hobby. You get peaks and troughs. At the moment, I would say we're enjoying. I don't know whether enjoy is the right phrase, but a lot of people seem to be into kind of retro games, and that's why people are, you know, craving original hardware. But it will get to a point where, you know, that'll fizzle out. I mean, what I'm kind of conscious of, people like my age, I'm the first generation to get into these sort of machines. Now, people like me buy hardware because we probably couldn't afford to get it when we were kids. You know, I mean, I got my first Atari 2600 about 10 years ago because I couldn't afford one when I was a kid. But when I've gone, are people, I don't know, are people who are, say, somebody who's 20 years old now, are they going to have the same nostalgia for hardware that I've got at the moment? I don't think so. Yeah, you're always going to get your die-hard collectors. You're going to get people who, you know, their dads were into the Commodore 64 and the Spectrum, and they're going to have an interest. But I think we are enjoying a bit of a kind of high with the hobby because of people my age, maybe slightly younger as well. They can't get enough retro games. But I think that in 10, 20 years time, I think it will become more and more niche. I really do. And possibly, you know, when people like myself get to a certain age, you know, if my eyesight starts failing, chances are I'm going to just start selling stuff, you know, because I don't really want to leave it to my daughter, because she'll have no idea what to do with it. Chances are she'd probably sell it for like a stupid amount of money. So I think as I get older, I might start selling off stuff. So I think at the moment we're enjoying a high. I do think that the hobby is going to shrink, and possibly prices might then go up. I don't really know, Colin, but is it a bubble that's going to burst eventually? I don't see it ever bursting, but I think it will kind of get to a peak, you know. But anyway, great question, Colin. Highlander, question for the next waffle. Did you ever invest in any classic gaming magazines back in the day? I used to subscribe to the likes of Amiga Power, Action. Is that meant to be Amiga Action? Never heard the Action. And the one back when I had my Amiga 500. I ended my subscription when said magazines, because Amiga 1200 centric as it were. I'm also a fan of Marillion, and Magnum Fish era of Marillion was the best. Yeah, I mean, what magazines did I love? Before Zap came along, Commodore, what do you call it? Computer and video games. Used to get Zap magazine. I used to get Commodore User, but that was quite a dry magazine. I got Amiga format, not PC format, Atari ST format, or Atari format, I think it was called. Then I got all the sort of the 16-bit magazines, Ace, Maximum. For a wee while when I had a SNES, I was getting Super Play, the One magazine, the Edge or Edge magazine. I bought that for a short time, but I just thought it was so far up its own backside that I couldn't be arsed with it. Yeah, virtually all the magazines back in the day. Amiga wise, I loved Amiga Power. It was the most fun. It kind of felt like a Zap magazine, that kind of fanzine type thing. It also had my favourite, journalist, video games journalist, Stuart Campbell, fellow Scot, born and bred in Bathgate, which isn't very far from me. It's about 5 minutes away from me. So I always kind of rated Stuart. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but I always rated him. You know, he wrote really well, and he's one of these people who wasn't afraid to kind of upset anyone. So yeah, virtually all the magazines. I mean, it was ridiculous. I remember back in, when would it be, the sort of early 90s, when the PC magazines came out. It was great because you got this CD, you know, that was awesome. Oh, all these free games. But I used to buy, like, I can't even remember what they're called. There was PC Format, there was like PC Zone, there was various ones, and sometimes I would buy like 3 or 4 magazines, and they were like £5-6 a pop. You're spending like 20 quid on magazines. It was just crazy. But that was before the internet came along, and the internet came along, and in my opinion, it has absolutely killed the magazines stone dead. The only magazine that I do buy, and I have to say I'm not a massive fan of it, just because they're now looking at stuff that I've not got a lot of interest in, and that is Retro Gamer. I've been a subscriber since issue 1. I've got every single edition, all 250 magazines. I keep hoping they're going to stop making it, so I can then put it on eBay and say complete collection. But I still subscribe to it. I don't know why, because I mean I think I've got about 2 years worth of magazines which I've never even looked at. I've just kind of got out of the way of looking at magazines. But yeah, I did. It was a fantastic magazine, and don't get me wrong, it's still a good magazine, but it's just got stuff. They're talking more about PlayStation era and more modern, and I've not got any real nostalgia for the PlayStation. Yeah, I did have a PlayStation for many years, but I don't have the nostalgia. My interest is firmly sort of 8-bit and 16-bit. But yeah, great question. Retro Beast games. I love the arcade machines. Well, that's the ones I had in the back of my video. Robotron and Defender 2, Robotron and Defender, 2 of the best games of all time, plus a great waffle. The problem is gaming is now mainstream, so it makes it hard to make the consoles for the demand now. Back in the day, only gaming geeks played games, so there was less demand. Absolutely, gaming has become more mainstream now, you know, but I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing. I live in a 16-bit van down by the 8-bit river. That's a great, probably the longest name for a YouTube person. Technically, Sir Clive Sinclair has been in a few games, most notably the C5 Clive, and the recent Flappy Bird clone in the Spectrum called Flappy Clive. There's also Rob's Life on the C64, which you play Rob Hubbard. Yeah, I was talking about being only the second person to star in a video game with, what's his name? I was talking about Eugene Evans being in Manic Miner. And courtesy of Holly, I'm now in China Miner. Yeah, great stuff. And Del Boy, I think I've only got a couple to go. Del Boy, as always, a joy to listen to. Thank you very much, Del. Question: did you use computers at school, and what model machines were there? I did. The very first computer I got to use at school, it was in geography, and it would be 1983, and it was an Apple II. And the only thing that I can remember playing in the Apple II was a lemonade stand, where you've basically got to decide how many bottles of lemonade you're going to make, how much sugar you're going to put in it. It's kind of like Football Manager for lemonade. You've got to decide how many adverts you're going to take out, this kind of stuff. it was a wee kind of businessy type game. So yeah, that was the only game, the only bit of software I ever remember on the Apple II. Then a year later, I took computer studies, and it was the BBC. BBC had a disk drive, and we used to program BASIC. I don't really recall any of the software that we did in the C64 that we did in the BBC. I remember doing the economics, and one of the part of the sort of curriculum, we had to take part. You had to basically pretend you were like the Prime Minister, and you had to decide what the rate of tax was going to be, you know, the rate of inflation, and then it would kind of work out, and it would tell you, you know, how much money you'd made and that kind of stuff. So that was about the only bit of software I can remember running on the BBC. That was the BBC, and I said, yeah, I was doing O grade computer studies, and I had to do kind of various programming, but it was all basic stuff, literally basic. But yeah, that was it. The BBC and the Apple II deal. Question: we all read the magazines, reviews, articles, but did you read the less commercial adverts back in the day and buy anything from them, such as modems, copying cables to link two data sets together, fast loader cartridges? Yeah, I did. I mean, in Zap, I think it was. What did I buy over the years? I bought. Oh, what was it called? Freeze Frame, which was a cartridge, and it basically allowed you to load up a game, and then you just press this little red button, and it gave you the option to save like a snapshot of the software that was in memory, and you could either save it to a tape or you could save it to a disc. I bought that. Did I buy anything else? I did buy a couple of like copying devices for the Atari ST as well. But yeah, I didn't buy a lot, to be fair, Dale. I mean, anything that I kind of bought was usually the little computer shop that was in Livingston, and then later on John Menzies. So stuff like my disc drive and that, my joysticks, they were all bought from shops. But yeah, I think Freeze Frame, I think that was about the only bit of hardware that I can actually remember buying from that. We'll try and think of more interesting questions for future. Not at all, Dale. They're all, any questions interesting. Our school had old Commodore PETs and Apple IIs, so no BBC micros for me. It's why I like the film Micromen so much. It was a cracking era. Yeah, it certainly was, Dale. Panther UK, spiffing waffle mate. Scalpers are basically greedy scum. Couldn't have said it better myself, Chris. For the next waffle, are two MAME cabs enough, or can you see another one on the horizon? I was considering building another to have one vertical and one horizontal, but money etc. The tank stick is still probably 200 quid. Do I need another MAME cab? I don't. And would I buy a third one? Unlikely. Saying that, I mean, as much as I do really like my two MAME cabs, if I had the option to buy maybe a professional made one with like a bigger screen, because I mean I'm completely pants when it comes to doing anything now. I mean the one I've bought recently from Paul Spriggs, the Defender one, I mean it's a MAME cab, it's got Defender controls, that's running MAME, and it's a cracking cab, it's solid. The only slight downside to it for me is the screen is quite small. I mean, it's alright, but I would love a bigger screen. Now, I know I could probably quite easily put my own a bigger monitor into that, but I'm just so lazy. And I think if I had the chance to buy like a professional cabinet that had MAME, I mean, my mate Ian Cullen has got two cracking cabinets. If I ever had the chance to buy something like that, I think I probably would, but I think I would probably need to get rid of one of them. I don't know. So if anybody's selling a professional MAME cab, let me know. Yes. Aye. Anyway, there you go. Thank you very much, Chris. And let's have a wee look. One switch. There's so little difference between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 currently that it's not the end of the world, surely. Scalpers are no doubt very annoying though. Yeah, like I said, I'm not interested in getting a PlayStation 5, not anytime soon. I recall reading that there were significant shortages of the BBC Micro in 1981. Like you, I definitely remember the Wii having stock issues. There's lots of issues with getting enough chips and loads of shipping issues globally. To be fair to Sony, they've done well to get it launched at all. Yeah, after I read that, I was kind of blaming Sony a lot about the whole scalper thing. I still do think that they and websites need to kind of tighten up. They need to come up with some process to stop these scalpers just cleaning up. But yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I know in my job, we have problems getting parts for different things, and it's the same globally at the moment because of the pandemic. So I can fully understand that it is difficult for Sony to get parts. It's certainly not going to be as easy as it would, 2 years ago. But I still stand by the fact that they were quite happy to put them all out for sale, and basically taking the money and giving it to scalpers. So hopefully they do come up with some better way to stop the scum that scalpers are, stopping legitimate kind of game players owning software, owning hardware. And Dave Garside, even CEX are still profiteering, buying the Xbox Series X for $455 and reselling it for $650, PS5 for $550 and selling it for $790. Is that right? I didn't realise that. That is quite sickening. Again, I suppose it all comes down to supply and demand. Doesn't make it right, but I suppose you get that whatever. There's only one Mona Lisa. Look at the price of it, like 100 million, and it's only a piece of canvas with a shit picture on it. Anyway, listen, that's quite enough. I'm going to get going. Thank you very much to everybody that continually supports the channel. Thanks for all the questions. Please keep them coming. This Sunday, last Sunday what did I do? I did a multi-event games stream. After I'd picked it, I was kind of thinking, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? What I think I'm going to do, I'm trying to think. I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back to one of my favourite type of arcade game, and it's shoot 'em ups. It can be MAME, it can be the C64, it can be computer, whatever it is. Home computers, consoles, or MAME. Shoot 'em ups. Stick them in, go into Discord, stick it on the list. I will see you on Sunday at 6 o'clock till 8 as always. And if I'm not mistaken in thinking, I think Holly's going to come up with a new revised China Minor Mememeister edition, so I'm looking forward to that, Holly. But finally guys, listen, thank you very much for watching, and as always, take care.